Good morning. Welcome back to the Vitality Project. I'm Dr. Bob. Yesterday, we reviewed how it is that our addictive cravings, when they arise, can serve as important reminders to us that we're probably experiencing elevations in our stress level. I believe it's only in recognizing these elevations that we're able to really right the ship. Share something with you. Nearly 25 years ago, I've just been reflecting on it the past few days, I began reading the English translation of poetry by the 13th century Persian, Jalaluddin Rumi. You know, I've continued for a quarter of a century now, really being deeply, deeply inspired and informed by all of Rumi's poetry, where he addresses psychological and spiritual insights in a way that really communicates. In fact, I read recently he's the most popular poet in the United States of America. He wrote in the 13th century. I would find that amazing. Over the years, I've committed a lot of his poetry to memory, and it's kind of come and gone, but I'm back into restoring many of his most moving poems to my memory. This is another thing I do when I swim in the mornings. I'm going to actually swim later on this morning, and I'll be working on some Rumi poetry, I'm sure. I want to share with you one of my favorites of Rumi's, and it really relates to our discussion of cravings, especially if we look at cravings as being useful signals to help keep us on track in our recovery. Here's a favorite of his. In fact, this poem was used as a introduction to the latest album by the rock group Coldplay. My daughter Amanda and I saw Coldplay perform in Dallas, Texas last year, and they opened with a recording in AT&T Stadium of this particular reading of Rumi, and it was read by the translator that has been the most meaningful to me, U.S. translator into English of Rumi, who originally wrote in Persian and Farsi. The translator's name is Coleman Barks. I highly recommend you to any translations of Rumi by Coleman Barks that you can lay your hands on. Here's a favorite of his, and be thinking of it in light of our looking at our cravings as guides, as friends. Rumi says, "This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a meanness, a depression. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. Each has been sent as a guide from beyond." You know, I really do believe that if you've been with me the last few podcasts, that this poem will kind of explain itself. Just to spend a moment with it, as in Rumi, some days, of course, we're visited by joy and other graces, and aren't those wonderful? But there are just as often days that we face challenges to our staying in balance. These can be days of depression. These could be days of the very cravings that we've been discussing these past few podcasts. I believe how we deal with these cravings as they arise may be just as important to our success in recovery as to the fact that they even arise in the first place. My way of thinking of it is stress happens, so do addictive cravings. They're in direct relationship to each other, as we've discussed. But if you and I can use them, as in Rumi, as guides, maybe we can find ourselves, find a path for ourselves to stay cleared out, to quote Rumi, to stay cleared out for some new delight. At the very least, our healing and our recovery will be the beneficiaries of our having this attitude towards our cravings, of staying alert to them as friends, as reminders, as guides. I'd like you to come back tomorrow, please, as we continue our exploration of these daily inventories. And And we'll continue them in the spirit of to quote Rumi as we finish, in the spirit of treating each guest honorably. As we find ways to review our days, and even the days that involve stressors that beset us, that we can find a way to utilize these as reminders, as guideposts of keeping us on the path. Thanks for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.